My name's Ryan. I'm New Hampshire. I've been training
Hey, Ryan.
2008. A lot of wasted time during those years. Hopefully today's class helps you eliminate some of your wasted time. I think for me, the knee shield was and still is one of the bigger issues with passing people's guard. It gets spoken about like it's a super easy resolution. It's one thing you do, and that's exactly it. I would disagree. In jiu-jitsu, there's any time that there's just one thing you should do. People adjust. We transform the position a little bit, different pressures. You have to be able to adjust by understanding what's happening. But with that being said, today's class a little bit different format than trying to give you an exact answer. I'm going to give you a bunch of answers. We're going to try to put them into smaller categories so you can see where your attention should be, and you can make that decision while you're rolling. As maybe this style is not working. Maybe this guy has a good answer for that. Maybe you don't even understand why that one's not working. You can move on to something else and try to resolve that issue with a different framework. So if you were just here for Kyle's class, you saw a bit of pressure passing. It looked almost like a leg weave. That's where we're going to start today. It's kind of a fundamental pass. We'll move through these pretty quick. So if you're trying to get 45 minutes of drilling on one move, that's not what we're doing today. So take notes. I'm sure it'll be recorded somewhere to share, but we're going to kind of spam through a bunch of options so that you can try some different things, and hopefully you gather enough mental framework to understand how to attack the knee shield when it's presented. So go on this way. So I'm in half guard. Currently my knees are on the floor. You also could do this from a primed half guard where we're up and ready to pass. Be done from a load of different variations here, but in general, this is the knee shield. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, we'll speak to the lowest person in the room here. He's created some type of barrier, some type of pillar. If you notice, this isn't hooked on me at all. It's just preventing me from advancing. And if that's not clear to you, the class we went over a couple of days ago, we were talking about chest-to-chest pinning. This knee is the #1 issue for me getting to his chest. If he moves this out of the way, it's going to be really easy for me to accomplish that task of pinning his shoulder line, starting to advance my legs. And he's putting this up because he knows it's easy for him to buy himself all this space. It also becomes pretty offensive if he kicks this out and takes underhooks when it's available. There's loads of things that he can do from here. This is actually one of my favorite positions to play from. So for the leg weave, we're going to put this in a context where I'm attacking the top leg, and I'm bringing his knees together to eliminate mobility of his legs, and they're really going to prevent his legs from doing much good. So if I was to pin his knees flat together like this and move out of the way, they can't follow me in. Really simple idea. I'm weaving through. There's lots of discussion if it should be at the hip. It should be posted at the hip. If it should be on the bottom knee. If it should be on the top knee. You're going to have to adjust for what they're doing. More modern escape here. If I go to the bottom, he pulls his knee towards his face and opens up and presents another issue. In that case, I would switch to the top the next time. You know, if I'm on the top and he pulls this out, then I need to make sure I'm monitoring that bottom. There's no clearance. So you're going to have to adjust for what he's doing. But if I can get far enough ahead here and get his knees together, I don't really care too much. So simply put, my shoulder is driving pressure through the side of his knee so that his knee touches his other. And now his legs are roughly useless. If you're in no gi, let's go over back. The further you can get. In the gi, you get a little bit of cheating here where you can just grab and control his shoulder line with a lapel. I'm using my head, the side of my head or my forehead to help flatten him out. Again, we're eliminating his mobility by flattening him out. At this point, I'm by the legs and get a really nice pass. I think you can see how that continues on. If you're not familiar with this pass, put some time in here. This is a super helpful pass. This is what I teach as a fundamental movement. You wouldn't get a blue belt from me if you can't do passes like this. It's a really common, easy solution. You can try it here, try it here, try it here. One of my favorites might be grabbing all of the material so he can't escape the hips. Grabbing the lapel, tightening the elbow. Notice how I'm turning my hips, walking the corner. And here my hand will splay his leg backwards to prevent that knee-elbow connection near me. But in general, you should be able to resolve this issue. Any questions? Let's give it a shot. Ready? That looked pretty good. As always, feel free to give me a helping hand after class if one of these is really giving me a hard time or you want to get into some detail. This next one is going to be in the same style format where we're attacking after the top leg, trying to get over this leg in some fashion, control this leg in some fashion. So it might be easier to set this up from a prime knee where we're starting to pass, but he's still got his knee in the way. This is going to be wildly variable depending on what pressure you're getting from him, how your posture is. But in general, I'm going to be grabbing his knee, pushing his knee, or we can push down at the ankle. You're going to have to figure out which one you want. I kind of call this a trot to Boston, or I've been told it's called a wave pass, where I'm going to bring my shin back over the top of his shin. For me, this was an eye-opener when shown. Is it that simple? Yeah. So as you cover, of course, we can get to some type of dope mount or start pushing up this way. Of course, it looks that simple, but it's going to require some resistance. I found that moving my shin backwards over his shin allows me to do this kind of trot to Boston. He falls through. Now I'm open. I use this quite a bit, especially as we're spamming some of the other stuff, right? He feels this weave pass happening. Now this becomes more available. Again, I'm pushing the knee down because I need my shin to get over his. I'm often setting that up by coming out here in kind of a shin cut pass. But you can push down at the foot here so that he can't react. You're going to have to play with this a bit yourself. This one isn't 100%, but it works 100% of the time when it works. Here, here. And then from here, you can decide to go to the back, or you can step over the mount. I think this avenue is not really explored well by a lot of people, so hopefully this opens some eyes. But we can just go over this if we can get our shin on top. Let's give it a shot, ready? We're having some issues with this one, likely because I didn't rotate enough so we can see the feet. So let's add a few cues to this. We're not going to stay on this long, but I do want to make sure we clean up what seems to be a little bit of a mess. So if my knee is on the floor, I'm not in a passing position. I would love to get my knee up into what I call a prime knee. For me, this means if this gets out of the way, I'm passing. Easy passing. So if it's not familiar to you, this and this are not the same thing. They still call this a knee shield half guard from his position, but I'm in a much better position with my knee over his leg than I am here with two dead knees on the shield. So as I'm in this prime knee position, he's fighting, pushing. I'm looking to get this down. Notice my inside foot is not going to leave the floor. This would have been a good cue for the first round. And move. And just lift my hips a bit so my knee can come back over. So without being here, I'm in this position. I move my leg out of the way so I can drop his knee, elevate my hips, and re-staple the legs to the far side. From here, I can climb forward to mount, or just go to the back. Let's give it a shot. Ready? This one is gi specific. You probably could modify this for no gi. But for those of you not wearing a gi, feel free to continue on with that leg weave. I know, or that wave pass rather. I know there's quite a bit of discussion happening, which is good. Sounds like we've opened some eyes and some brains to maybe a new pass. So this one here, I call a fainting goat pass. It can be done from a prime knee or a dead knee. It's easier here. What I'm going to do is use my outside hand and reach back and grab the pants somewhere. I'm going to want to eventually punch, so grab whatever grip you think is going to help you not let this leg come close to you. I'm going to be pushing it away or punching it away. This hand's going to grab the belt, the back of the pants, or some type of the gi back behind him. I prefer the belt. It just seems like a better grip for me. And all I'm going to do is fall off the backside. Just like a fainting goat. From here, the hand's going to have a real hard time following. So I just scissor my legs and come up. This looks like nonsense. When you feel this, you'll see it's not quite nonsense. If you're with a group of two guys that's doing no gi, you're more than welcome to grab somebody that's wearing a gi or grab a gi top or something like that. So maybe some larger groups will be helpful to just spam through it. I don't think you can really mess this up. I kind of am fooling around that I would roll to my back. I surely would not be falling to my back in a match. But I'm showing it this way so you can see how clear it is that I've made it around the top leg. And I'm not allowing him to follow. These two grips here, as I go, allow me to move pretty quickly. I'll ask Van to try to respond to this a bit. I'm here, here, and as I fall, you see I get to push him away. He can't turn his hips towards me. He can't bring his legs in my direction. His hands will come over, which is fun. You see him here, prime knee, outside hand grabbing the pants. I like to grab him down at the bottom. Back hand is grabbing at the belt. You truly could probably just stand up and go, but I like to play around a little bit and just fall off the backside. He tries to turn into me, I just push by the legs. Let's give it a shot, ready? So all of those movements we're attacking after the top leg, paying attention to the knee shield correctly. We're going to now get into a couple different things, time allotting, that don't necessarily go after the knee shield. This particular one, we're going to flatten the hips. The next few are going to be about flattening the hips. If you notice, Van, put the knee shield would pretend somebody there. He's on his side, right? We always talk about half guard needs to be 90 degrees, needs to be shoulder over shoulder. Somebody wrote in the comments of one of my videos, I really liked it, that half flat is half dead. You know, the more he gets moved this way, the less his knee shield's able to do it. So if I was here, even in this dead knee position, this knee shield can't really do much. It's not really doing much at all. It's very easy for me to get back. So if I can organize this mentally, that top hip going to the floor will eliminate his ability to use this appropriately. We can just simplify that to flatten the damn hips, and you'll break the knee shield there. You're seeing us from high-level players for decades now. But as we're here in a knee shield, I'm going to show an easy way with some good cues. My outside hand reaches to the bottom of the knee. As I lift that, my outside foot will replace his knee. This will help some of you guys with mobility issues try to learn how to get up a little bit smoother. I had trouble when I was first doing this, wondering, like, how am I standing up? You know, my body doesn't naturally want to just free flow upwards. This foot replacing his knee as I lift it. And now I'm making the elbow connection here so that when we go back down, even if I went dead knees, I wouldn't. I would go to that prime knee. But even if we had seal feet and I'm here, his knee is not in the way. I can advance to this chest-to-chest pretty quickly when that knee is out of the way. So by flattening his hips or putting his top hip to the floor, he's unable to use this effectively. He's going to probably change the shape of it if you hang out too long. He'll recognize pretty quickly this doesn't have a use and maybe start putting his foot in between us, trying to use other pushing tools. So you need to be aware of what we're fighting over. It's this space that the fight is currently in. I'm trying to advance towards this hip, preferably to a shoulder line pin. And I'm going to do that by making this forward. So my hand's on his top hip. My hand's on his bottom knee. I'm live toes so I can stand up. If you haven't experienced that, this is going to require an extra step to stand up. We go here, then here. Go live toes. Skip a step. This hand is helping push, but it's not a massive piece. I'm just looking to roll this elbow in front of his knee as early as possible. So as I lift this knee, push his hips that way, my knee-elbow connection here is not going to allow the knee back in. This is butter. This is so easy to pass through. There's not much other than his arms that are going to prevent me from getting shoulder. We can go over loads of details of where the knee plants. I don't want to go that far today. I just want to give you some good ideas. For me, this was one in particular I watched a lot of the pros using when I was on my way up that I couldn't quite grasp how they're getting up to their feet. So if this isn't your style, definitely focus in on this a bit. It's massively efficient. There's a wealth of stuff from that headquarters position. So we're here. We get into half guard, knee shield. Live toes, hand to the hip, forward pressure. He'll kick me off backwards if I'm not giving him pressure. My outside hand grabs his knee, and I step up right there. As I move his hips over, my elbow rolls inside. We just go right back here, chest low, elbow connected to my thigh, my knee, so he can't push that knee shield back in. And from here, over back, lengthen the head with a crossfoot, underhook, whatever your style is. Knee cuts galore here. We can attach it to yesterday's class where I keep the knee in the pit and just crank him out. I don't care how you finish the pass. We're talking about beating the knee shield today. Let's give it a shot. Ready? We're just going to add a brief variation off of that. You've likely seen this from competitive players quite a bit. This will make a lot more sense now that you're understanding why or how you got to that position. So I'm looking to pass. He's giving me a good knee shield. I'm going to do the same exact pull-up from here to where we get the headquarters position. And this time, I'm going to follow all the way through and let my knee collect the back of his knee. This position, holding style passes, really nice to just deconstruct somebody's guard fully. He has no real pushing tools down below. Let's go to the hip. You'll see I'm kind of hovering over this leg. You're going to have a bunch of different variations for entanglement. I want you to think about using your hips to pin his knee towards the floor, and you'll find there's not much he can do about it, no matter what type of leg entanglement we have set up. I can always use my legs.
You're just got taken out by a unicorn. It's the only animal that can kill a snake.
So, I'm here, he's got a knee shield in the way. I lift his knee up, and I'm bringing him all the way across so my knee can collect the back of his top. This doesn't look like much, but as we're here, or even using this to pry here, there's not much you'll be able to do to move from this position. He's kind of at the limit of his mobility here. So I can sprawl my hips on top of it if I like this. I can just simply cut the back door because the legs have no value anymore. I can mount over the top pretty easily. You're going to have to vary depending on what he's doing. There's no clear direction other than by the knee shield, advancing to upper body pins. I really like these holding passes as we're moving. In a slow motion match, this doesn't work as well. Here, here. I can start working underhooks and looking to pass slowly. Or you just fall forward and take them out. If you're having trouble with the leg arrangement, for now, just drive your hips downwards. This works just as well. I'm just sprawling like he's shooting on me and I'm defending a leg attack. This is phenomenal for this sort of nuanced issues. Hips down, his legs are pinned to the floor, and they're pretty easy to get by when they can. Let's give it a shot. Ready? In each one of these sequences, trying to put something playful but useful into them. I like move of the day or something that's makes your brain kind of laugh a little bit. So this one is a step behind. You'll see that we're also flattening hips. The last two were ideas of getting his hips down to the floor so that we limit the ability for this filler to have value. Of course, it continues on so that we can pass. If you came to the pinning class that we did Wednesday, we talked about needing to get by this knee as a second step. You don't have to get all the way to a pass. I really like this idea that if I can get by this knee and get to chest, we can finish passing from there. So this kind of bus stop or pit stop, to where getting by the knee and getting to a chest-to-chest position is 80% of your pass. And I don't think this clicked for me early, so I really want to emphasize that idea. I don't need to just simply get by his legs and hopefully get out there pin. I can pin from within the legs and then start to pull my leg out and finish the pass. For me, this is the best style because I don't move extremely fast. But just take a peek at how simple this idea is. You're going to see the getting by the knee shield part is valuable. It's simple, but I want to really make sure you're connecting that this knee shield is not giving me chest-to-chest pressure. I'm unable to hold it into the floor currently. I'm going to put my outside knee in front of his bottom knee. You'll see this when we rotate in a moment. This knee is going to slide up behind this hip, and I'm just going to melt his knee out of the way. So we're here. Outside knee covers his bottom knee. And I have the chest-to-chest we've been fighting for. So it's so dumb we look right past it, or perhaps it's so nuanced you don't see value in it. This knee is stopping me from pinning his chest. I bring my outside knee to cover his knee in some fashion. For those of you that this doesn't make sense, try to touch his hip with your knee. The back foot steps up and flattens down. It almost looks like nothing happened, but there's no knee shield. There's no pushing tools from his lower body able to do anything. So as we're here, I get the types of grips I want, and then we would finish passing. It's much easier to pass from a chest-to-chest position than it is from this. If I pass out here, push it 3 guards, you probably spend years worth of frustration with good guard players in your gym. Try getting a chest-to-chest pin before you pass the legs and see if it doesn't help. So this variation, We're covering this bottom knee, stepping behind here, flattening hips. Getting my chest-to-chest pin, whatever that means, whether it's a crossface, whether it's a nice underhook, whether it's double unders, I don't care. This is a really nice passing position. I'll give you one just so it's clear. As we get to this position, I like to grab here as we went over Wednesday. You don't need that full grip. What I want is a head block. My ear goes to his ear, my butt goes in the air, step wide, cut by. Keep it. So we're here, we're playing, cover the bottom knee, step behind, flatten the hips. Get a nice underhook. I lift the head, grab this trap. Head block. I'm pushing his head back towards the underhook. I'm pushing the underhook towards his head. From here, I have a free hand. Try to protect. His legs will come up. This becomes really easy. Because the pin is stopping his ability to rotate towards me and build strength. He's stuck to the floor, just kind of withering here with legs, trying to do something helpful. Let's give it a shot. Ready? So, those are two families of ideas to get by the knee shield. The first one, again, was attacking at the top leg. Pretty direct idea. This is the issue. This is where we resolve the problem. That second set of movements was all hip pins. You know, we're basically flattening his hips out to eliminate mobility or change the shape of the knee shield to where it doesn't have a ton of value. We could go way down a rabbit hole with that stuff. Each one of these ideas has more and more to add, and you'll start seeing you blend between them as he poses better issues. You know, I make this movement, he responds with this. Maybe one of those other families pops up. The last that I would say in this is attacking at the bottom leg. So depending on how he's playing knee shield half, you can put this way. If he's playing it high enough that his feet are unhooked, so he doesn't have a connection there. And it's not necessarily that clean, but for now we're going to say this to just give some absolute to it. That if he has a high knee shield, it's very unlikely I'm beating this simply, but he's left this guard alone. The only thing that's holding me in place is a one-leg hook. It doesn't have a closed loop to anything. So I can attack here if I have intent to recognize this is left on its own. I can sit forward, I'm pushing in, and staple over it. From here, I could go right back to that knee drop. Keep this in. There's nothing holding me in place anymore. So you almost vanish the guard. If this seems really weird to you, as you try this in a moment, ask yourself, what's holding me? Why are you not advancing? You're basically leaning on a pillar and allowing it to hold you up. There's no hook here. There's no connection other than my physical weight leaning on it. That pillar has no value without me. You know, if you think about a Roman column holding up the roof, I'm the roof. I don't need to bear weight on that. So as we bear weight into it, I'm just stapling over the bottom leg. And from here, there's no guard left. So if you wanted to, we could fishtail our legs, the angle, push into this. You'll see it doesn't have much use out on the side. I don't suggest you play here. I just want to prove a point. Let's rotate a bit. The pillar is active from me leaning into it correctly. The pillar does not work very well if I'm here at a 90. Push me with that. He doesn't have strong pushing force. A little bit. Here, push me. It moves. So if I get offline with that pressure, simply put, we can pass comfortably when they don't have a guard. I mean, really, you can dumb it down to that. We're here. I attack at the bottom leg because his legs are open. I'm back. Now it's just a matter of moving. I don't want to force you into learning a particular, here's what you do with your legs, other than that first step. We're here. I'm driving forward into the pillar. Capture the guard. Now I can step out of the guard. Another option, because we're running short on time, is some old school stuff that I've learned. It works a lot of the time. He's got his half guard in. I'm going to turn my knees this way. I'm going to slap my shoelaces towards his butt and then try to slap them back in this direction over the top of this leg. So we're here. No more guard. There's nothing holding me here. It's my choice to lean into that pillar, depending on what style of passing I want. I really like this one because I don't believe he gives, there's no risk. So we're here, I'm playing, he's not giving me good position. I need to get over this one. So right there, you see he responded. So here and here. If he responds, bring that foot up. This is what Van just did. We ended up back here. Let's just step over here. All different variations of the same idea. We're attacking at the bottom leg if the feet are open, because it's the only thing that's holding us in place anymore. But if you can recognize that the guard is an entanglement of somebody else to prevent movement, let's allow ourselves freedom to move. And then you can choose to lean on that pillar or not. We're playing. There's nothing holding me in place. It's that one, you don't have the mobility to turn your knees out and slap. Then we just simply elevate our body forward to bring weight off of our butt. Let's give it a shot. Ready? More options if you guys really don't like any of those, but I would challenge it. If you don't like any of those, you're probably not quite paying attention to the detail. This class wasn't about methods, even though it's full of methods. It's about the idea of where our attention is being paid when the knee shield's there. Don't just call it knee shield and go, and try to spam something you learned in your first week of jiu-jitsu. Try to deconstruct what's happening. His hips are turned up sideways. His knees are wide and bearing weight like a pillar. His bottom leg is often left on its own. And you can determine by the shape of his knee shield which way you're going to go. So if you start looking at the knee shield that's presented in front of you with a little more logic and understanding, I think you'll find that this really frustrating part of jiu-jitsu is just another puzzle to solve. And with a little bit of understanding now, is it the hips I want to flatten? Is it the top leg I'd like to get over the top of or move out of the way? Is it the bottom leg I'd like to pin to ruin the guard? Find out what your style is. But remember that one style won't beat everybody. They adjust. They start pinching the hip. They start putting the knee on top of a cross collar. They're going to change the shape. And if you look at it like it's the same thing, it's just knee shield, you really miss it. Thank you guys for coming. Let's get a quick picture.